Hare Krishna devotees. Welcome to our penultimate chapter. Today will be chapter 17 and tomorrow we'll finish the program with chapter 18. But before we do that, let's take a look at the essence of chapter 16. So chapter 16 was titled Daiva Asura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. That is, those who have qualities that are considered to be divine, then they are considered to be devatas. So devatas generally means those who possess divine qualities. Similarly, those who have a predominance of demoniac qualities are called asuras. So Krishna gives us a list of 26 qualities of those who have a predominantly divine nature. But at the same time, he also focuses on the demoniac qualities, which are pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. See, our current day culture is so unpredictable, like dogs. Dogs can be very loyal and dogs can also be very aggressive towards perceived enemies. And so this duality exists in modern day society. So especially in Kali Yuga, it's very hard to distinguish between good and evil, because one person may have both qualities in them. So you cannot categorize somebody as totally divine or categorize somebody as totally demoniac. Most of us have a combination of divine and demoniac qualities. So essentially, Krishna said, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, I've already spoken about those who have saintly qualities. But starting in chapter 2. So in chapter 16, he just gives the 26 divine qualities and then focuses the rest of his attention on the nature of such demoniac people. So what are the things that nurture your spirituality or nurture the demoniac tendency that can lead to your own destruction? So in the tree of the material world, if you look at the analogy of the banyan tree, then if you have divine qualities, it will uplift your consciousness. If you have demoniac qualities, it will degrade your consciousness. So there will be moral decline. And you remember we spoke about the 4 legs of dharma and the associated impacts on dharma as a result of not following the restrictions that have been prescribed for us. So 26 divine qualities, 6 major demoniac qualities, and there is a stark contrast between the divine qualities and the demoniac qualities. So a demoniac person could be said to be broadly selfish. And a person possessing a predominantly divine nature or divine qualities could be considered selfless. So they will be humble, they will be tolerant, they will be patient, etc. The opposite of someone with demoniac qualities. So if you're selfish, it means you're acting for yourself. If you're selfless, you are acting for others. But in between, there is such a wide range between selfish and selflessness. So you could say, for all of us, the spiritual journey begins with selfishness and hopefully leads to selflessness. In the sense that we are born predominantly with demoniac qualities. And if we cultivate the right qualities, and if we nurture those qualities through the right association, then it can help us reach that stage of selflessness where we are thinking of others and not just ourselves. So many of the important shlokas we did not read due to paucity of time yesterday, but in one of the shlokas, Krishna says, what is the thought process of the demoniac person? And he quotes, he says, they say that this world is unreal with no foundation, no God in control. They say it's just produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Following such conclusions, Krishna is saying the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Not only demoniac people are self-destructive, but they end up destroying others around them and ultimately leading to the destruction of the entire world. So from Shlokas 7 to 20, Krishna talks about the opinions of the demoniac, the outlook of the demoniac, and what kind of conduct they engage in. What's their philosophy? What is their philosophy? Their philosophy is there is no God, everything is just an accident. What is their mentality? Their mentality, I will enjoy and I will control because I have only one life to live. If there's no God, that means there's no karma. There's nobody overseeing anything. I can do whatever I want. Therefore, it doesn't matter how I behave. What about their activity? Krishna says that their activities are destructive. It is not beneficial to themselves or to others. And what is the destiny? They end up suffering not just in this life, but in many lifetimes to come. So, and then Krishna talks about the three gates to hell: lust, anger, and greed. And what causes a person to experience this hellish life. But what is interesting is, unlike in Abrahamic religions like Christianity and Islam, where they have this belief that once you go to hell, you can never get out. You are eternally condemned, I believe is the term that Christianity uses. That the soul is eternally damned. But Vedic scriptures and Sanatana Dharma does not believe in that at all. There is always an opportunity for the soul to develop and get out of difficult degradations in consciousness. So for us, there is no belief system that there is anything called eternal punishment. The punishment is actually an opportunity for the soul to develop through tough lessons. I think in one of the sessions we were talking about how we should actually welcome the difficult times, because it is the difficult times that help you understand who you are. It helps you understand what you're really made of, and it helps you become more dependent on Krishna. So it's the tough times that ideally bring us closer to Krishna. But we don't have to wait for tough times. We can rather look at things in a much more positive life. If we embrace spiritual life, then you can transition, the lust can transition to love. The anger should transition to tolerance. And the greed should transition to selflessness. Because Krishna has said lust, anger, and greed are the three gates to hell. That means lust should be converted to love. Anger should turn to tolerance. Greed should turn to selflessness. If we can transition from lust to love, anger to tolerance, and greed to selflessness, then you have achieved perfection. So it's a work in progress for all of us. It's not something that we can just accomplish in a single millisecond. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of patience. But we have to keep at it. We cannot give up, right? There's just no question of giving up. I did not post the theme question for chapter 17. The theme question for chapter 17 was actually, for chapter 16, sorry, was actually, the world is teaching us I, me, and mine. Gita is teaching us we, us, and ours. So the whole theme questions has actually been put together by His Holiness Keshav Swami Maharaj. He's really got a beautiful way with words and beautiful way of crystallizing concepts in just a very well expressed phrases. So this whole concept is, what is the world teaching us versus what is the Gita teaching us? The world is teaching, our education system certainly is teaching us, it's all about I, me, and mine. The Gita is teaching us about the collective responsibility we have as human beings. It's not me for myself. It's about us for ourselves. Therefore, that we concept. So now, chapter 17. So chapter 16, when we looked at it, it was about faith, right? So today we will look at chapter 17. So let me pull the slides up. Okay. So chapter 17 is titled Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. Shraddha means faith. Traya means three. Vibhaga Yoga. So how is faith influenced by the three gunas? So in chapter 14, Krishna talked about the gunas. And in chapter 17, Krishna comes back to the gunas again, because it's so important for us to understand this. So Arjuna actually has an interesting question. So we'll look at that question. Krishna is going to talk about how the three gunas influence so many different aspects of life in a little bit more detail today than what we looked at in chapter 14. And Krishna concludes with Om Tat Sat. What does this Om Tat Sat mean? Many of you would have heard this saying, Om Tat Sat. So let's look at Arjuna's question. Arjuna Vacha Ye Shastra Vidhim Utsrijya Yajante Shraddhayan Vitaha Tesham Nishtha Krishna Sattvam Aho Rajastamaha. Arjuna asked, O Krishna, what is the position of those who do not follow the scriptural injunctions but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in the mode of goodness, in the mode of passion, or in the mode of ignorance? So essentially, Arjuna is asking, all along Krishna has talked about having faith in the scriptures, in Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and follow the instructions. Now Arjuna is thinking, not everybody is going to follow the instructions. What if some people just make up rituals because it's family culture, it's tradition, it has always been done this way and therefore I have to continue it? Which means there are a lot of rituals that each of us observe in the family that has nothing to do with Vedic scriptures. So here Arjuna wants to know, well, if people have developed certain practices, certain cultural norms, you could call it, or whatever family practices, etc. Do you consider them to be pious? Are they under the influence of Sattvagun, Rajagun, or Tamagun? Essentially, how is faith influenced by the gunas? And in response to this question, Arjuna says, faith is dictated by the gunas also. O son of Bharata, one is, according to the various modes of nature, he develops a certain trust. According to his qualities, he is said to have a certain faith. So that means the qualities that we have influence the type of faith, and the type of faith influences our practices. So Krishna is covering the following topics that are influenced by the three gunas. What kind of faith we have? What kind of worship do we perform? What kind of food do we eat? Influenced by the gunas. What kind of rituals do we undertake? How do we conduct ourselves? How does gunas influence our speech? How do gunas influence our mind and our ability to control it? How do gunas influence what kind of charity we give? And a few other topics. So we'll look at the summary again a little bit later. So even in the same family, you can have the same parents, but each child turns out very differently. So you can see that Vibhishana is in the mode of goodness because he surrendered to the Lord. He understood that what Ravana had done by kidnapping Mother Sita was wrong. He tried to advise him. But when Ravana refused to accept his advice, Vibhishana was left with nothing to do but abandon his family. Same thing happens with Vidura. See, up until Lord Krishna comes on the Shantidut mission, Vidura was always with Dhritarashtra, always advising Dhritarashtra, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, etc. He was always there to give good counsel to Dhritarashtra. But when the Lord himself comes personally and says, give half the kingdom, and they say no. Then he says, okay, at least give 5 villages, one per Pandava. They say no. Not even an inch of land. So when Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, and his brothers simply disobeyed Krishna, at that time Vidura decides it's time for him to leave. When family members are openly disobedient towards the Lord, then a Vaishnava or a devotee of the Lord no longer wants to associate with such people, even if they happen to be their own family members. So we have an example of Vidura. Immediately, of course, Duryodhana really criticized him, saying, you're taking the other side and you've been eating our food, etc., etc., insulting him. And so Vidura leaves on a yatra. He thought the Lord had personally arranged this difficult situation for him in order for him to prepare for his spiritual journey. And Vidura thanks the Lord for arranging that insult that came like a missile towards him and hit him in the heart, directed by Duryodhana's words. So sometimes, as we were discussing yesterday, actually after class, if difficult people through their actions accelerate your journey towards Krishna, then you should be eternally grateful to them and to Krishna for that. Because otherwise, if you have a very loving family, then being completely dedicated to Krishna becomes very difficult. So here you can see in the same family, Vibhishana was under the influence of Sattvagun. And since he was chanting Rama, 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 he had his whole house plastered with the name Ram. And Ravana, somebody went and told Ravana, my God, what audacity your brother has. He is actually chanting the names of your opponent, Ram. So Ravana personally came to find out what on earth was going on in his own kingdom. His brother had plastered the name of Rama all over his house, all over the walls. Vibhishana, being very intelligent, said the Ra stands for Ravana, the Ma stands for Mandodari, and this way he escaped. So Ravana was definitely driven by desires. So you could say he is primarily under the influence of Rajogun. Kumbhakarna was influenced by Tamogun, so he slept for 6 months, woke up one day, and then went back to sleep. And this process continued. So you can see 3 different individuals, even born in the same family, the same parents, can have different outcomes. So we have to be careful about the overall choices that we make. So we're going to quickly go through some slides that talk about how the gunas influence various aspects. So far we've understood there is sattvagun, there's rajagun and tamagun. But those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, they are understood to have reached the sattva stage, the stage of pure goodness. So, as we said, the Bhagavad Gita is actually a book for self-help and self-improvement. It's to find out that you are not the supreme controller or the enjoyer. But still at the same time, you can shape your own destiny simply by being a great devotee of Krishna. So this is all summarized in tables here. You can read the shlokas in the chapter. Essentially, Krishna is saying those who are under the influence of Satogun, they will be worshipping the Devatas. Those who are under the influence of passion will be worshipping demons or people with demoniac nature. Those who are under the influence of Tamogun would be worshipping ghosts and spirits. So this is Krishna's description of faith and how it influences who you worship. So the ultimate worship, of course, is to worship the Supreme Lord Krishna as Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So then you are on the right track. What about food? So coming back to the topic of food, Krishna says those under the influence of Satogun tend to consume foods that are wholesome, juicy, pleasing. And Krishna says the result of having this essentially vegetarian food is that it ensures your longevity, and this kind of food is also purifying. It gives you a lot more strength. It makes you disease-free, and it keeps you happy. Foods consumed under the influence of Rajogun, Krishna says they are bitter or sour. They tend to be hot or pungent, burning. And the result is it causes, Krishna says, distress, misery, and disease. Foods that are tasteless, decomposed, untouchable, Krishna says that leads to early death, infection. It's contaminating not just to your body, but it also contaminates your consciousness. That means food should be in the category of Shuddha Sattva. Anything that is offered to the Lord with love is prasadam. Therefore, prasadam is the best food and the ideal food for all human beings, because prasadam is considered to be the remnants of what Krishna has accepted from you. And if you do that, then you can transcend the 3 modes. What about sacrifices? So Krishna says those who do yajna, if they do it as per scripture, and if they're doing it as a matter of duty, and they're not expecting anything in return, then such a yajna is done in the sattva-gun. Whereas those who do yajna for a specific material benefit or for the sake of enhancing their own name, fame, then such a yajna is done in the mode of passion. And any yajna, Krishna says, that violate the scriptures, where the yajna is done and no prasadam is distributed, where the yajna is done and there is no chanting of Vedic hymns, and the yajna is done and the priest is not given any dakshina, then such a yajna, Krishna says, is performed in the mode of ignorance, under the influence of tamagun. So what is the best kind of yajna? Krishna has already said in chapter 10, yajnanam japa yajñosmi, which is the best, topmost kind of yajna is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. What about your overall conduct? Then, under the influence of Sattva Guna, you believe in respect of not just your family members, but all Jivatmas. And you worship as a matter of duty. For passion, you are respecting and offering respect, but because you know you will get something out of it in return. So that means your mood is, if it benefits me, I will do it. And of course, if you want to do all of this to glorify yourself. Whereas if you're doing conduct in the mode of ignorance, then you're only doing it to get the power to destroy others, right? Like people like Hiranyakashipu. They wanted to be so powerful, they were also ready to dethrone the Devatas. So once one Brahmana came to the palace of Lord Ram with his dead son in his hands, in his arms. And he asked the Lord, why has this happened? Because this is considered an untimely death. When a child dies before the parents, it is said that means there is something wrong in the kingdom. And the king is not giving good governance. That some wrong thing is happening in the kingdom that the king has not corrected. That is the only circumstance under which a parent will lose their child prematurely. So premature death was deemed to be the responsibility of the king. Therefore, the Brahmana came and asked Lord Ram, you are the Lord yourself, but how did this happen under your watch? So Lord Ram was very troubled to hear this. He was wondering what should he do? How can he restore life to this, to the son of the Brahmana? At that time, Narada Muni comes and tells Lord Ram, actually, there is a Shudra by the name of Shambhuka. He is performing some intense austerity. You need to locate him. And if you get rid of him, then the Brahmana's son will regain his life. So Lord Ram meditates and the Pushpaka Vimana comes and he travels until he finds a personality hanging upside down from a tree. And he asks this person, who are you? And this person responds, I am Shambhuka. And the Lord asks him, what are you doing? He says, I'm doing this intense tapas. The Lord asks, what for? And he says, I want to take the position of Indra. And then once I take the position of Indra, I want to, take on his wife, Saci. The minute the Lord heard this from the mouth of the Shudra, he immediately killed him. Because it is said, the certain things are only meant to be done by certain varna or certain ashrama. You cannot violate scripture and do whatever you want. So when it comes to austerity, etc., there are authorized and unauthorized austerities. So we have to be careful what kind of austerities we undertake, because certain things are not appropriate. So anyway, after Lord Ram kills Shambhuka, the Brahmana's son gets his life back. Then we come to the topic of speech, which is a very important aspect for Vaishnavas. Krishna says, if you are speaking in the mode of goodness, then your speech will be truthful, it will be pleasing, it will be beneficial. Satyam Priyam Hitam. Speech under the influence of Rajagun, it's going to be manipulative in nature, it will involve a lot of gossip, and it will be primarily to feed one's own selfish ends. Speech under the influence of Tamogun, Krishna says, is characterized by lying. The speech is also agitating, and the speech is also harmful for others. So one day, the great philosopher Socrates was sitting and discussing some philosophy, and suddenly a man comes in a rush to tell him, I have some very important things. So Socrates asks him, is what you're about to tell me the truth? The man says, well, I really don't know because I heard it through the grapevine. So then Socrates asks him, is what you're about to tell me, is it going to be pleasing in the sense it'll add to the pleasantness of life? And he says, no, I don't think so. Then Socrates asks him, what you're going to say, is that going to be benefiting me? And the man says, no, I don't think there's any benefit for you. Then Socrates said, then you please, I don't even need to hear what you have to say, because whatever you are about to say is neither truthful, nor pleasing, nor beneficial. So once a man accused somebody else of doing something, later on he found out that that was not based on facts, or there was some misunderstanding. He felt quite dejected about having accused someone of doing something that they had actually not done. And not only that, he had spoken very harshly about that person. So this person feels very bad, and he approaches a sage, and he tells the sage, this is something that I did. What is the price chitta for this? How can I atone for this? And the sage said, I have a exercise for you. And the man was very anxious because he was feeling quite guilty. So the sage gave him a pillow full of feathers and told him, you take it to the center of town, you cut open the pillow and let the feathers fly all over the place. Come back and meet me. So the man did that, and he goes back to meet the sage, and the sage says, okay, are you done with what I told you? And the man says, yes. Okay, the sage says, very good, excellent work. Now I want you to go across town, pick up every single feather and put it back in the pillowcase and bring it back to me. The man got very upset. He said, that is impossible to do. It's certainly not possible to do that. It's actually mad to suggest that. Now I should go locate the feathers and find it, retrieve it, put it back in the bag. So at that time, the sage said, similarly, once harsh words are spoken, it has already been carried in the wind. It's gone far and wide. Once you've distributed this kind of lie or gossip or harshness, it's very difficult to pluck it out of the wind and put it back in the bag. And essentially, it is very difficult to undo something that you have spoken. So speech is such an important component of a Vaishnava's life. We have to always be careful how we speak with others. And if we feel we have been gone overboard with our speech, we should be ready to ask for forgiveness for any unpleasantness that was created. It's just a culture of the Vaishnavas to ask for forgiveness all the time. What about the mind? A mind that is under the influence of Sattvagun, Krishna says, it's always satisfied, it is content. It's not agitated. Whereas the person whose mind is under the influence of Rajagun, they are agitated, they are dissatisfied, they always feel like something is missing. And of course, the mind of a person under the influence of Tamogun, well, it's completely bewildered. They can't distinguish right from wrong, Krishna has already said. They don't follow scriptures. Therefore, the discrimination power is not there. They are completely under illusion. Charity. Krishna says the person who performs charity as a matter of duty, they do it with no expectations. Desha Kala Patra, at suitable time, place, and location, and they give in charity to a qualified person. Such a person is doing charity in the mode of goodness. Whereas the person who's doing charity with the desire to be recognized for doing that charity, with the desire for anticipating some return for this charity, again, it could be name, fame, etc. Or doing the charity simply because it gives them personal pleasure and joy and enjoyment to give in charity. Or Krishna says, if they do charity unwillingly out of irritation because somebody has asked them, then Krishna says such charity is being done under the influence of Rajogun. Charity under the influence of Tamogun, it is given in an impure place at an inappropriate time and to an unqualified person. Such charity is done under the influence of Tamogun. Prabhupada, in one of the Bhagavatam purports, writes about charity. If you give charity to an unqualified what you could say, a non-Brahmana, I would say, then the return is 1:1. If you give charity to a semi-qualified Brahmana, which means he's not a fully practicing, genuine Brahmana, then the results are 1:2. If you give in charity to a qualified Brahmana, the result is 1:1,000. The return, I mean. Whereas if you give in charity to a Vaishnava, then the return is 1:infinity. Of course, we don't give in charity because we want something in return. But as per Shastra, the credits that you get for doing charity follows this 1:1, 1:2, 1:1,000, and then 1:infinity. So if you give in charity to a qualified cause, to a qualified person, then you have unlimited rewards for that. So essentially, any charity that is given to propagate the temple-related activities, preaching-related activities, Annadan, Go Seva, these things have unlimited benefits. It's being done for the pleasure of Krishna. So the best charity is to be devoted to Krishna conscious activities. Now you may say, come on, obviously you are part of the institution, so you will definitely claim we should only give it to ISKCON and nobody else because we will use it rightly, we will use it for the right cause, etc., etc. No. The risk of giving charity to the wrong person who will misuse the funds, then you will have to accept the karma of that person misusing your funds. Therefore, even giving in charity, you have to be careful where you are giving in charity to and in what mood you are giving that charity. That is, you should not have any expectations. If I do this, I will get this benefit, or if I'll get this special blessing. This should not be the mood in which charity is done. Actually, charity should be done in such a way that everything belongs to Krishna. I am simply giving back what belongs to Krishna himself and his devotees who will utilize it for preaching purposes and the purpose of bringing others to Krishna. Remember, we talked about what is non-violence. Non-violence is defined as somebody is practicing Krishna consciousness and propagating and spreading Krishna consciousness. That is true non-violence. Because you're sacrificing everything in order to save a Jivatma and connect them back to Krishna. This is the austerity that we can undertake for the pleasure of Guru and Guru Parampara. So essentially, Krishna is not seeing what are we giving. He is seeing what are we hiding and holding back. So we have to use our resources to fulfill the Lord's instructions to please the Supreme Lord. When we do this, this is the best form of charity. All right. So we'll come back to the same shloka that we looked at in the previous chapter. Krite adhyayato vishnum tretayam yajato mukmakhaehi dwapare paricharyayam kalau tadhari kirtanat. So whatever result was obtained in Satyuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapar Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's the benefit of Harinam chanting in Kali Yuga. So there is another verse from the first chapter of the first canto, the 14th shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. Apanna samsritam ghoram yannama vivasho granam tatas sadyo vimuccheta yadbhibheti swayam bhayam. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. So, if you chant Krishna even a single time with utter faith and love, then it will wipe away multiple lifetimes of sinful activities that you may have accumulated simply by chanting Krishna. And the word Krishna in this Bhagavatam, it is said that the holy name is feared by fear itself, fear personified itself. So certainly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare is a very important aspect of your sadhana. So coming to the concluding set of verses in the 17th chapter, where Krishna has in detail spoken about broadly faith under the influence of the three gunas. Now Krishna is coming to the conclusion. Om Tat Sat Iti Nirdesho Brahmanas Trividas Smritaha Brahmanas Tena Vedascha Yajñascha Vihitah Pura. From the beginning of creation, the three words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. These three symbolic representations were used by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. So, everything that is auspicious is done with the three words Om Tat Sat. Krishna is saying, what is this Om? What is this Tat? What is this Sat? These three symbolic representations were used by the Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. So, in our culture and in Vedic scriptures, certain mantras are supposed to be recited only by Brahmanas. So, you and I cannot recite those mantras. We are not authorized to do so. So, in one country, there was a king, and he wanted to learn some mantras. So, he goes to a pious man, a Brahmana. And the pious man tells him, I cannot teach you that mantra because that mantra is only supposed to be chanted by the Brahmanas. The king got very upset, saying, how dare you, say no to me. I am the king. I am asking you to teach me, and who are you to say no? So when he heard the king get angry, the rishi told the king's soldiers, arrest this king right away. And the soldiers just laughed at the audacity of the rishi to ask the soldiers of the king to arrest the king who's standing there right in front of them. When the king heard these words, arrest the king, he got very angry. He turned to his soldiers and said, arrest this rishi right away. And immediately the soldiers responded by arresting the rishi. And the rishi said, see, when I said arrest the king, it had no impact on your soldiers. Your soldiers just laughed. They didn't even fulfill my instructions. But because you had the authority to do so, they immediately followed your instructions. Similarly, there are certain mantras that will be impactful only if it is chanted by the Brahmanas. Everybody cannot chant all the mantras in the Vedas because that's not how it is set up. Certain mantras can be given from Guru to Shishya. Certain mantras should be chanted loudly. Certain mantras should be chanted softly. Certain mantras should be chanted only in the mind, even without your lips moving. The Gayatri mantras fall under this category. None of the Gayatri mantras should be recited loudly. The Gayatri mantra that we are generally familiar with is called the Surya Gayatri. So the king understood, yes, when I said arrest, I had the authority and therefore the soldiers fulfilled the instructions. So yes, so mantras are also like this. However, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra does not fall in this category. Anybody can chant this mantra. Many people ask me, okay, actually in the Shastra it says Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Why in ISKCON we are chanting in reverse? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Have we just changed the mantra to suit our purpose? No. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, the Acharyas explained, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. For that you have to take Diksha. Somebody has to give that mantra to you. Only then you can chant it like that. And it's considered a restricted mantra. So when Mahaprabhu came, he simply switched the mantra around so that anybody and everybody could chant the mantra without any pre-qualification of purity, no qualification. Therefore, Mahaprabhu changed the mantra to Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So that anybody can chant it in Kali Yuga and go back to Godhead. So this is the power of the mantras. But certain things are done using the words Om Tat Sat. And that is what Krishna is referring to in this particular shloka. That when you say Om Tat Sat, it pleases the Lord. What is the meaning of this? Om is a reference to Lord Vishnu. And by saying Om, it helps you remember him. Tat means working without attachment for liberation. That is saying everything belongs to you, my dear Lord. Nothing belongs to me. And Sat means offering everything for the satisfaction of Bhagavan so that you can go back to the spiritual world. That means you spiritualize all of your activities in life for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So this is the meaning of Om Tat Sat. So in the last shloka of the 17th chapter, Krishna is saying, anything done as a sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Pritha, is impermanent. It is called asat and is useless both in this life and the next. So essentially, Krishna is concluding this chapter by saying, remember, Arjun, what was Arjuna's question? What if somebody does not have faith in scriptures? What if they just concoct things that they do on their own? For example, people fasting for political causes. It's not recommended in the Shastra. The only time we should do fasting is for the pleasure of Krishna. So the two authorized days for us is the two Ekadesis that come in a month, or festivals where we are honoring great acharyas or honoring different personalities of Godhead. Yeah. So here Krishna is saying, Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat asad ityuchyate partha nachatat pretyano iha. Anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith is impermanent. So after reading this sentence, I used to think, if only everybody knew this and read this statement in the Bhagavad Gita, they would stop messing around. They will simply follow the scriptures. What is the point of doing sacrifices, charity, and penance if you don't have faith in Krishna? Krishna is saying the results are going to be temporary. Hence, Krishna says this is called asat. Therefore, not only is it useful for you in this life, it is useless in next life also. So it begs the question, why do people do charity, penance, and sacrifice without having any faith in Krishna? So only if one has faith in Krishna will you actually get the results of doing sacrifices, charity, or penance. So we have to be so careful about what we are doing. We can't say, I will do whatever I want. So what if the scriptures say this, that, or the other? I will do what is convenient for me or is beneficial for me in the short term. So this is the risk of violating the scriptures. So Krishna is saying, if you don't have faith in me, whatever you do is of no use. A very, very tough statement. It's like the conclusion of all conclusions. It's like, then now you're thinking, oh my God, what all I've done in previous yugas, previous lives, in this life, and never had any faith in Krishna. Essentially, Krishna is saying it's a complete waste of time. You just expended energy and the benefits are temporary. Whereas if you simply had a little bit of faith and still did your sacrifice, charity, and penance, then you will get some spiritual credits for it. So that means we have to be so careful about what we choose to follow and choose not to follow in the context of practicing bhakti yoga. So chapter 18 is a long chapter. It has 78 shlokas. What is Krishna doing in the 18th chapter? He is summarizing the entire Bhagavad Gita. In the same sequence in which he has spoken to Arjuna, he will quickly summarize those topics. So he will summarize Karma Yoga in the first 18 shlokas. Of course, Arjuna will ask an interesting question that he asked in chapter 3. It was slightly different nuance. Then Krishna will talk again about the gunas from shlokas 19 to 40. Krishna will say, as per Varna, who should be doing what work. What kind of work should Brahmanas do, Kshatriyas do, Vaishyas do, Shudras do. Krishna will talk about what it means to love him from shlokas 56 to 66. And of course, the end result is Arjuna completely surrendering to the Lord and saying, I will do whatever you are asking me to do. My illusion has been dispelled. I'm no longer confused. I'm very clear-eyed now. I will follow your instructions. And then, of course, Sanjaya concludes by saying, whoever is hearing this Bhagavad Gita, what benefits will accrue to them. Before that, Krishna himself will give you Falashruti. Falashruti of hearing the Bhagavad Gita, of reading the Bhagavad Gita, of studying the Bhagavad Gita, of preaching the Bhagavad Gita to others. The Falashruti is being given by Krishna himself. So don't miss tomorrow's session, although it is a lengthier class tomorrow since we are concluding the 18 chapters. So any questions today based on what we have discussed? We can take those